guys, we're going to get started with Unit 6, Lesson 13. This is the lesson for Wednesday. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so I can participate in a close reading of the story A Famous Ship, and I can read and write words with different spellings for the EE sound. That's our learning targets for today. And I'm going to try to see if I can fix that where you can see everything. Okay. So we're going to do a whole group reading of A Famous Ship. So I want you to go ahead and get out your reader, The War of 1812, and open up to A Famous Ship. Before we get started, let's briefly summarize the war starts. So although both the U.S. Army and Navy were very small, the U.S. Navy had some success in beating the British in several naval battles, which you've learned about. So please turn to page 8 in your reader. You have already learned about some of the causes of the War of 1812. Do you remember any of the causes? Think about them. And again, if at any point you need to pause because I'm going too fast, no problem. And you can also rewatch. But I only have, like I said, a 15-minute time limit. So, causes of the War of 1812 include the British imprisonment of Americans to become sailors in the British Navy. The British Navy blocked American ships and prevented them from trading with the French. The United States had a desire for westward expansion. There was conflict with the Native Americans, and the British were trading with Native Americans. So these are all kind of what led to the War of 1812. The images on page 8, so in page 8 of your reader, and page 9 of the introduction will help gain a better understanding of what war in 1812 was like. So if you can look at those pictures, it can kind of give you a visual of what the war was like. So this was an American warship. Many of the battles of the War of 1812 occurred at sea between the American and British natives. What do you think the purpose of the sails were? I want you to think about that. What do you think the purpose of the sails were? You can say it. All right, let's compare these two battleships. We have a modern day battleship and then the old battleship. I want you to think about, maybe find some similarities and some differences. The ships in the U.S. Navy today are very different from the USS Constitution. Modern warships can even have fighter jets land on them or go below the surface of the sea as submarines. And this is a cannon from the 1800s. This kind of weapon was used in the War of 1812, battles by both the Army and the Navy. So this picture right here is a picture of a cannon. This cannon is on wheels, which allowed soldiers to move it around the battlefields. The cannon would be filled with gunpowder and cannonball would be placed inside the cannon. The cannonball would then shoot out of the cannon toward the enemy. 19th century soldiers. Let's discuss the uniforms and equipment of the 19th century soldiers. Now, we've kind of already had a unit in this on CKLA, so you kind of have a good understanding of what they looked like and what they wore. There are a few soldiers on horseback in the background. Remember that soldiers in the Army fought on land, either on foot or on horseback. So you can kind of see that from the picture. The title of today's chapter is A Famous Ship. Let's turn to the table of contents, so you should have out your reader. If you need to pause, go ahead to get out your reader. Open up to the table of contents and find the chapter A Famous Ship. That's chapter 4, so it's going to be on page 38. Let's preview the tricky words in the story. We're going to have the word iron, document. There's a picture of what a document is, and branch. There's different branches. We have the legislative branch, executive branch, and the judicial branch. And you could kind of pause to read what each branch does. Let's preview the vocabulary. We have Supreme Court, in a string, mast, plank. Let's read the story together as a group. We will pause often to discuss certain parts of the text. So remember, we're going to have to kind of just go through it But if you want to go back and read it yourself or read it with a family member or have a family member read it to you, that is great. But if I have time, I'll read it at the end. We're just going to see how recording goes. But if I don't have time, you can just now take the time to read it yourself, read it to a family member, or have a family member read it to you. Okay. Here we go. So we're going to go over the EE sound. So we have this sound EE, and it's like the EE and B. So let's say the word B. B. Now, are we going to see this a lot, not a lot, or so-so? Not a lot, because yes, that power bar is very small. Now we have EA, which like in beach. So it's going to still make that EE sound, but the letters E and A are making that sound. And this, again, is going to happen a small amount of time, but it definitely does happen. So let's say the word beach. Good, very good. Beach. So now we know that EE can either be, the EE sound can either be simply an EE or an EA. And now we can know it can be an E letter E, like in the word Pete. It's still making that E sound, P, eat. Do we see that? P, eat, Pete. So it's still making that EE sound. So we know that EE can make the EE sound, EA, and now E letter E. Or just simply an E can make the E sound, like in me. Say the word me with me. M, E, me. Very good. And that's going to happen a little more than the other one, so you can see that power bar is a little bit bigger. Or it could be EY, like in key. And I want you to look at that power bar and see how often that happens. We have the word key. Say the word key with me. K-E, key. Do you see how that EY is making the EE sound? And we see this power bar. Take a look at that power bar and see what you notice. This is going to happen so-so. So usually, or about half the time, you're going to see Y representing the EE sound, like in the word funny. Let's tap the word funny. F-un-e, funny. Very good. Now we have the word cookie. So the IE is representing that EE sound. Say the word cookie with me. Cookie. You see how that E is on the end. You will now learn a new spelling today, the I spelling for the EE. It's like in ski. Take a look at the power bar to see how often this will happen. In this word ski, the I is making the EE sound. So I want you to get out your fish book and open up to 13.1. Open up to 13.1, and that is page 67. Should be page 67 in your fish book, so you can go ahead and pause this and get out your fish book and open up to page 67. And whenever you're open to it, turn it back on, and we're going to go over it. So it says, write the word in each sentence that has the tricky spelling I sounded it under it. The word that has the tricky spelling I sounded as IE under driver, or the word that has a tricky spelling I sounded as EE, as we learned today. So it can either sound like or saying its name, dry, or saying EE. So look at that box, and again, you can see how it can either make the I sound, say its name, I, or the E sound. So it could either be saying the it, as in it, fish, and his. Or it can be saying its name, like in the word driver, find, and rider, rider. Or it can be making the EE sound, such as in ski, taxi, and easier. So let's do number 1 together. My mom plays the piano. What sound is the I making in piano? P. Piano, P-E. It's making the EE sound. Piano. So it's going to go in that last column. And this one is, you're going to do pepperoni pizza. I want you to read the word sentence I like pepperoni pizza. Pepperoni pizza. Very good. It's making that EE sound, such as in ski. So it's going to go in that last column. Now, I want you to pause this video and do 3 through 12 on your own, and then we will come back and check. So go ahead and pause the video, do the rest on your own, and I'm going to read the sentences to you, though. Number 3 says, instead of being mean, be kind. Number 4, curious means to want to know. Number 5, rub some sunblock on your skin. Number 6, my dad was furious when the glass broke. Number 7, I do not like beans and chili. Number 8, the huge waves tossed the ship. Number 9, at the zoo we saw a tiger. Number 10, do you like spaghetti noodles? Number 11, the lettuce is crisp. And number 12, they play that song on the radio. So in each sentence is underlined, it has the I, and you just have to figure out what sound is that I word making and put it in the correct column. So pause this video and do that, and then we'll come back and go over the answers. Okay, so we're back. Number 3, kind. Kind. The I is saying its name, so it's going to go in that second column. Then we have the word curious. It's saying the EE sound, so it's going to go in that last column. Now we have the word skin. In skin. It's making that I sound, so it's going to go in the first column. Number 6, furious. Where is that going to go? Very good. It's making the EE sound. It's going to go in the last column. Chili. We're looking at that last I in the word chili. Chili. It's making that EE sound. It's going to go in the last column. Turn it over to 8. We're looking at the I in ship. Ship. The I is making that I sound, so it's going to go in the first column. Number 9. At the zoo, we saw a tiger. It's saying its name, so it's going to go in the second column. Do you like spaghetti noodles? That spaghetti is making the EE sound, so it's going to go in the last column. Then we have crisp. Crisp. The I is making the I sound, so it's going to go in the first column. And last, we have radio. Where is that going to go? Very good. It's going to go in the last column. The I is making the EE sound. Very good job. Thank you, guys.